All right, we're back. You just watched our NFL picks. Thanks for watching. We are now into our weekly movie review. It is Halloween this week, so instead of doing individual actors and movies, we've got back to the good old HSC podcast top five. Got some great top fives in the old podcasts too, so don't forget to check those out. But in the spirit of Halloween, we're doing our top five Halloween movies, to watch by yourself with your family, with your friends, or just that's just a fun, scary movie that you might want to watch on one of the best scary movie nights of the year. So, top five Halloween movies, HSC podcast. Let's do it. My order, I'm not 100% on. I've got my five, and there's a couple as I get near the top that I don't know why I rate them the way I'm going to rate them, but we'll just roll with it. So let's go. Let's work our way down. Top five. Here we go. Number five. Why don't you go first?
Okay, so my five is a newer entry to movies, but I just the if I'm doing it's a written movie and its sequel because they tie in together almost like a whole movie together. And you're gonna laugh because it's a Netflix movie. It's The Babysitter, and then The
Oh,
Babysitter Killer Queen. And those movies crack me up. And they are horror, like horror movies. But those two movies, and then like if we even get into Halloween costumes, you got a dude that's a jock who's shirtless. And then you got another guy who's wearing a tracksuit, and then you have a girl who's in a cheerleader outfit. And it's kind of like you could have a group of friends go as them for Halloween. Have you
ma-
seen those movies?
makes a nice Halloween costume. No, actually, I haven't. So now I'm going to watch them.
They are great. It's basically um a teenager whose parents go away and he's like one of the only kids that still has babysitter. She comes over. um he thinks that she's gonna have like a guy over and do stuff, but it turns out they're like a satanic cult. And
That's hilarious.
yes.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
I wish you had told me sooner because I've been on and spoiler words, not in my top five, so I talk about. I've been on a Nightmare on Elm Street um, spree.
But this one is more like horror comedy though.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I'm looking for additional Halloween movies to watch because for some reason this year I'm really into the checking out Halloween movies this year. So good, I like it. Give me something good to watch, and if you're listening, check it out. My mine's a classic, just horror movie, and it's something I watch regularly, but I love to watch it around this time of year, and it's Night of the Living Dead. It's just one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. And there's two versions of it, just so you know, and either of them are good, right? There's the 60s and then the 80s version of these. You can't go wrong with either one. Um, I actually like the older one just because I grew up with it, but I also love the 80s one too because of the actors in it. I can't remember all their names off the top of my head. I'm not going to go back and research that, but no matter which one you watch, they're both good, and it's just a classic zombie story, right? You've got the graveyard, the zombies come out of it, you get trapped in a house, you got to try to get out or stay alive, and for this day and age, zombie movies are everywhere, or zombie themes are everywhere, and you may not be obvious, maybe you dress up like a zombie, who knows? But
Well,
the
and then
movie
the
itself is
zombie
classic.
five, like zombie walks and
Oh man, there's just so much. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, how much zombies in general have just taken off. And not that it wasn't ever a thing, but man, has it just blown up.
yeah.
But it's classic, right? Night of the Living Dead, check it out, number five. I'll go to number four here. This is just a horror movie. It's not. really Halloween related, but because it's a horror movie, it's something you can watch in Halloween. Definitely, I don't know if you want to watch it with the kids. um, but the ending to this movie, I just love it so much, and it's Saw. The original Saw for me is just so good. I can watch it multiple times, even though it's a twist ending and you know the ending, it's still a good watch if you're looking for some classic or some good straight horror movie. And it's got different levels of it. Sometimes it's a little bit scary, but sometimes a little bit gross, and sometimes it's a little bit graphic. But again, in my opinion, one of the better plot twists of this type of movie that you'll see when you watch it. I'm not going to ruin it. If you haven't seen Saw, get out from under a rock. But either way, one of
I
my
haven't seen
favorite.
Saw, but I already know the ending. So
So I enjoy watching this from time to time, especially around this time of year. And like I said, check it out. Great horror movie to watch. This might be more of watch it with your date or your adult friends.
yeah, most of mine are for adult friends, but my number four, and you can pick. One is more serious, one is more funny, but they're almost the exact same movie. And I went as him for Halloween one year, and that would be The Evil Dead.
Nice.
Ash, man.
Gosh.
I mean, and if you want, I mean, it's not as horror-ish, but Army of Darkness too. You could go any of the three. For me, that's my pick. You have a cabin in the woods, you go off with your friends, and then you start reading the book of the Necronomicon.
You
Yes.
unleash the darkness. I also love the Evil Dead series. It's one of my favorite and something I watched from a very young age, probably when I shouldn't have been watching it. But you're right. It's a great series when you think about all three of them, and the differences in the movies is great too. I actually enjoy that more than let's make the same movie three times.
Right. Well, yeah, the first one and the second one are pretty close. It's just the second one, like the first one's straight, like a horror movie.
Right.
And the second one is more like, Bruce
It,
Campbell,
it's a
comedic
lot
shot.
lighter.
Yeah. But it's still like almost this, it's both in the cabin in the woods type thing. And
Yep. Well, before you get to your three, because you spoiled my three, is Evil Dead as well. But I put Evil Dead 2 specifically because that's my favorite of the three,
yes.
because I do like the lighthearted parts of it. I think there's the part where he starts hitting himself on the head with the plates, and watching that as a younger person, also it was like, man, I just love that's one part that I just enjoy just as an example. But you're right, like it still has that same cabin in the woods feel of the first one. And they're both really good and unique in their own ways. So if you haven't seen the Evil Dead series, you should watch, all three of those
Yeah.
because those are really good.
Hey, you got something in your face. No, what?
It's funny but good, and it has enough of the uh, bringing the original, the horror type film into it from Evil Dead 1. So it's a I actually would start with that almost, but you do gotta it needs a little bit of history on it too. So that's my spoiler word. So I'll let you go to your three because you just took mine.
Okay, so my three is one I watch all the movies usually around Chris or around Halloween every year. They're from our high school generation started. This is what started like the cool horror movies. Like, I Know What You Did Last Summer and stuff like that. And of course, it's Scream. The first Scream is so good.
It's unbelievable.
And I mean, I just finished watching that one today, and it's just so great because you have Stu and Billy are almost in every scene.
well, and you've got a real storyline in a horror movie that doesn't feel like, man, I'm just watching a slasher film.
Right. And then they poke fun of slasher and it's like you got the rules and you got, and like even I watching it, I'm like, dude, Randy had it all from the beginning. He's like at the movie, he's like, it's Bill, he's the killer.
And you know that's in there for a reason too, right? And that's
Yeah.
the but the plot twists are good. The storyline is good, but also just being a straight horror film on top of that is it's just good in that sense by itself, right? If you because a lot of horror movies you don't expect a bunch of plot, right? I'm not asking for the greatest,
Right.
movie you've ever written, but it's well written, and especially the intro, not just the first scene, because I love that first scene. It's great, right? When and Drew Barrymore, you gotta admit,
Well, because that no one had done that before where they're like, we're gonna get you Drew Barrymore. And she's on the cover.
yeah,
She's in the poster, so you think, okay, she's gonna be in a bunch.
yeah. And so it's a great start, but then it's a great like lead into the whole story after that first play. You've got Courtney Cox coming in, David Arquette coming in. Like it's just they're really good. Acting is solid. It's not, you're not winning a lot of Oscars with it, but it's good. It's a great movie. But to your point of watching, more than just the first one too, they are good to watch, most of them. There's very few parts of the series that it makes me not want to watch each one.
But the original was golden though.
Oh, it doesn't get any better in that series. So that's a great pick. All right. Well, here we go. Getting to the top two. My top two, I'll just warn you guys right now. I mean, I have nothing modern as far as new horror films. But mine it's nostalgic pick, but it's also like how can you have Halloween without picking the movie Halloween? And yeah, this is old, right? I mean, it came out nearly, when I was born, but I've seen it many times, and I've seen the newer ones, which aren't bad. It's not a great series. It's Scream quality of writing, but it's also a higher quality of slasher movie, which is what I enjoy in my horror films when I watch them. I'm a Friday the 13th guy, right? I mean, like, when you talk about zero plot, like, let's go there. So at least there's some story behind Michael Myers. You got Jamie Lee Curtis, and so it's still, but it has that classic babysitter, you know, storyline and escape comic or well at murder he killed his sister or whatever when he was young and gets into mental health and escapes and whatever, but the same thing is it's classic slasher. It's screaming and stabbing and running and it's fun for me, and it's just a great way to say in during Halloween I watched the movie Halloween, and if you're looking for something in that genre you're gonna love it.
You know what? I
And
think
it's
you gave
old.
away your number one by talking about that one. But that's funny because that's my number two is Halloween because you can't have you have to watch Halloween on Halloween.
You do. I mean, that's for I guess for all the reasons I just said, but you probably have your own reasoning too.
Well, that's I mean it is. But it does have that nice little plot of he's escaped, he's coming after the babysitters, and he comes out, he wants Laurie Strode and he can't be stopped and then it goes into the second one which was cool because it's like the next day.
Right. Yeah, I do think even though I guess because it's hard to not go and continue to make additional movies in the series, right? They're all about making more movies and more money and all that. they're still not bad though, right? You don't you never they never trail off as bad as say Friday the 13th did. You know, you get into some of these Jason Goes to Space and stuff like that, and it's a little off the rails. So Halloween didn't go that far. Still a good overall series to watch. All right, well, go ahead. What we got here? Number one.
Well, we talked about kids, and so we got to have something on here for the kids. And this one is a dual threat because it can be for Halloween and Christmas. And that's The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's
Nice.
a Halloween movie going into Christmas. And you got to do, man, Jack the Pumpkin King, King of Halloween. Got to go with the King of Halloween.
Right, and it's such a unique movie. Like, it makes it fun to watch because it's different, right? It's not the same thing you're gonna see all over the place.
Right. Then the songs are great and the story and I mean it's produced by Tim Burton, but yeah, it's
Yeah, and that's good because I'll admit, my daughter saw it when she was younger, and she enjoyed it, and so yeah, it is something that I'm not terribly against showing your kids either.
my son went as Jack a few years ago for Halloween.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I kind of went the other way with my number one, and it's not the other way in far as it's gory and gruesome, but it's a movie for me that when I think about, I just want to watch a good, scary but interesting movie. I put The Shining as one that I always like to watch. It's not Halloween based, right? So it's not a lot like what we're talking about, but it has all the things that I want out of a Halloween or just a horror movie or a scary movie, but a ton of story to it. There are times where some people might think it gets slower, but I like the build. I like, the scary parts of it, but also the parts that aren't slasher scary, but you got the twins and you've got Jack himself, playing the part, and the things they go through once they get there, the isolation that they're in makes it extra scary in that sense. And good story, well written, well produced, directed. Like there's so many things that are great about the movie. It's not something that I'm going to take my daughter and be like, "Hey, let's go watch The Shining together." But it's one that I like to watch, and if you enjoy, good scary movies with good plot, with great writing, this is one that a lot of people I've found haven't seen in the younger generation. So if you're watching, which those I'm sure we get probably more viewers in the younger demographic, check out The Shining. Like it's great.
Well, the funny thing about The Shining is my son's been into the new DuckTales, watching that, and they had a Halloween episode, and then there's a Halloween episode, and it's they do this thing, and then they show a picture, and it's them, like one of them, and I'm like, oh, it's The Shining, and of course my Grayson has no idea, like it's a kid show, but I'm like, oh, that's a nod to The Shining.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, what's The Shining?"
Yeah. Well, then my wife had never even seen The Shining, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
that's The Shining.
yeah, and it's there's so many references to it. It's funny that you mentioned that because you've got like The Simpsons that reference it, and I'm sure every one of those types of animated does that. But my favorite is The Simpsons because when he's like, "Oh, it's The Shining," he says, "Oh, it's The
Oh, it's The
Shinning,"
Shining.
and he goes, "Don't you mean The Shining?" And he goes, "Shut up, boy! You want to be sued?"
Yes.
So I love the Simpsons for that. I think they do a great job. But the movie itself is definitely worth the watch anytime, anytime. But if you're looking for something for Halloween, that's one that I would recommend. If you haven't seen it, check out The Shining.
And then for me, some honorable mentions, and these are awesome. These are also, these aren't typical horror movies. These are more meta comedy horrors. But Cabin in the Woods,
Oh yeah,
so good. And then a newer one, The Final Girls. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen that.
And that one is good. It's a girl whose mom was in a horror movie and she died in a car accident, but they went and they were at a theater watching the horror movie and a fire happens in the movie theater. They cut through the screen and they go and they end up in the movie.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Okay.
it's a good it's more of a more of a comedy than a horror,
Right, right.
but it's pretty good.
Oh, I'm into that. Yeah. I like, I mean, as I mentioned with Evil Dead 2, like I kind of like that to have a little bit of comedy, you know. And as long as it's well done, it's never too much.
Right. And then, like you said, we got them, the OGs, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. Those can't go wrong with. Like the first Friday the 13th is that one is ingenious.
Yeah.
That's such a
It
good one.
really is great. It four, the final chapter is pretty good when you watch them all. You two or three really are just kind of filler. I mean, two's nice because it's there's an introduction there into a different style of the show of the series. But if you haven't seen it, I don't care. I'll ruin it. It's like where Jason is really introduced is in the second one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's still obviously part of the first, but he's not, the main part. But four is kind of cool when I guess their plan was to kind of wrap it up, but then they decided to leave the door open right at the
He had to
end.
take Manhattan.
Yeah, they're like, how is he going to take Manhattan if he's dead? And how is he going to go to space?
How is he going to fight Freddy?
Yeah, and you mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street too, and watching through those again, uh, they're they're uh, they're good in where Freddy is great. He is one of the better, I guess, more versatile, fun, scary like villains in these different horror movies. I think he's underrated after rewatching these.
Well, and then think about that is for me, that's like the biggest fear, right? It's like you
Oh,
go to sleep
yeah.
and then that's how he gets you.
No, yeah, you definitely don't let the kids watch this.
No. But we watched it when we were
I
kids.
know, of course. And that song man, just the song is freaky.
One, two.
I know. I guess I'm watching that and I'm like, did I lock the door? So Nightmare on Elm Street definitely gets a shout out. Yeah, Friday the 13th, all the Halloweens. But there's also fun Halloween movies out there. So outside of our top five, there's still a lot of fun stuff to watch, right? So don't forget to check out, some of those as you think about, can I watch with the kids or family movie night, whatever you want to do.
Right. Well,
And I
I
know,
haven't seen it, but like Halloween Town,
yeah.
is filmed
I mean,
here.
even stuff like Hocus Pocus, there's fun movies out there that aren't necessarily our style because we grew up with slasher movies, but there are still a lot of fun, good Halloween movies out there. So check them out. Let us know what you think. Of course, we'll come up later in Christmas movies, but still in the comments, as you listen to the podcast, let us
What are
know.
your favorite scary movies?
Yes, give us the list, and then maybe we'll review those. But also, different genres, actors, actresses. Happy to get ideas for movie reviews. Um, Again, we get a decent amount of views from our movie reviews as well as comments and a lot of short views too. So don't forget to leave comments and let us know what you think.
Yeah, we're all up for any act. I mean, we'll
Any
just
movies? I got a few. We're not gonna do it this podcast, obviously, but I've got a few other fun movie games for us to get into that will be shorter things we can also do and just get through some movie trivia and things like that as well. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Appreciate everybody listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like and leave some comments and let us know. And we'll see you next time.